Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are here again, and excited to have you all with us. We are having a good morning so far. Matt and I have been bantering, as we always do, before we hit the record button. And Matt seems like he's in a good place. I'm in a good place, so we're excited to be, again, sharing our time with you all. So Matt, real quick, let me do some housekeeping just as we always do. Obviously, if you want to learn more about Ninja Selling and all that, please check out the Ninja Selling website for all details about Ninja Selling. If you want to learn about events coming up, classes that are available, go check that out. And also go check out our podcast community if you want to be part of the group of people that listen to this podcast, that appreciate what we're all doing here, and you want to share your ideas with them. The Ninja Selling Podcast community on Facebook is where you want to go to. And Matt, let's jump on in. How you doing, sir?
Let's do it. I'm doing great, Garrett. How are you, man? Getting through it?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing better than getting through it, man.
That's good. That's good. Same. It's another day in paradise.
It's another day in paradise. So to jump straight into this episode, Matt, we were talking this morning, and one of the things that I brought up was life changes. And I mean, obviously, we've talked about life changes in the past. Currently, right now, I am seeing the world is turning back on. Most communities, if you haven't already been released back into the wild, there are some cities that are releasing you back into the wild. It's a good visual, isn't it?
It is. I just picture front doors opening and swarms of people just flying out of their homes.
National Geographic-style.
I see the drone going higher in the cities, and all of a sudden there's just swarms of people coming all into the center.
It's basically what it looks like. That's basically exactly what it looks like. So we're being released. People are out moving around. They are talking more than we've ever talked. We're seeing each other more than we've seen each other in a long time. And one of the things that keeps coming up for me, Matt, and I'm hearing this from the people that I coach, I'm hearing it from all their people that they have in their world. I'm looking at my personal world, my database, my sphere of influence. And what I'm starting to realize is there's a lot of change that's happened or is starting to take place because of the last 2 years. You know, we saw it happen during COVID, where people started to have a lot of changes. They realizing their world in a different way, relationship changes, all kinds of stuff happen that make people all of a sudden want to get a divorce. All of a sudden want to say, hey, you know what, I'm done with that job. I'm never doing that again. All kinds of stuff went on. And we saw a lot of real estate happen through that time. And I'm watching the changes start to ramp up again. And so that's why I wanted to throw into the arena today. Excited to talk to you about it. And what are you seeing out there?
I'm seeing a lot of life changes too. I think, interestingly, you go back to 2020, I think COVID had this effect of supercharging certain changes. And all of a sudden people are like, yep, now's the time to make that move. But then it also put the pause button on a lot of other changes. And now that we're over 2 years into this or out of this, or however you want to look at it, those people are like, all right, I can't wait anymore. This change is now coming to the top. And there's a lot of good changes too. There's marriages that are finally happening, the weddings that weren't happening, that got delayed, and now those are happening, and babies are happening.
Babies, lots of COVID babies.
Lots of babies. Job promotions. My brother-in-law might be moving here quite shortly. Big move for him due to a great job opportunity, which is really exciting. I'm actually very, very proud of him. So there are a lot of changes. And what I am seeing, Garrett, too, is that a lot of realtors aren't necessarily paying attention to those. Warm lists are not as big as they should be.
They're not. And it's interesting. There's I just did a talk at a real estate office here the other day. And one is there's a huge group of realtors out there that don't even know what they're looking for. That's first and foremost. And then there's a lot of people that I coach that know exactly what they should be looking for. And I'm calling all of you out that I coach. You all, no, not all of you. Some of you are really good at this. A lot of you are really good at this. But there are some that are not taking it serious enough right now. And that for me is it's not going to sneak up and bite you in the ass. It's that it is going to just not give you the opportunities that are available. You're not going to sit around by not keeping track of life changes and go oh my gosh, I'm dead in the water. Probably not. If you're doing all your other stuff, you got your marketing going out, you are on the phone with people and connecting with people, you're going to be successful. You're going to have good stuff happening. but there's a ridiculous amount of business that happens around these people that are having life changes. And that's where I'm just constantly pushing on my people right now, going like, come on, I need to see your warm list growing. What have you done with your warm list in the last 24 hours? And it's interesting. A lot of people are like, I haven't touched it in 2 weeks.
Oh, I haven't even looked at it. I haven't put anybody on it. And, in the back of people's heads, even those that aren't writing people into a warm list, they might be thinking about, oh yeah, John and Sally might be selling or things like that. And I think also the incredible pace of the market can be a bit of a distraction towards focusing on your warm list, because a lot of people have plenty of buyers that they're working with. And I know some people who listings are just kind of coming to them as well, because people are starting to turn over properties, which is wonderful. But then the warm list kind of gets this back seat, but it is one of our daily habits that we should be doing, is looking at that warm list every day. And part of that stems into, we need to pay attention to our forward conversations so that we can actually add people onto that warm list and then proactively follow up with them. And it sounds like a lot of work, Garrett, but what I find is that if you have a good sized warm list, if you're paying attention to those life changes, it makes it easier to plan out an hour of power. It makes it easier to look at, who do I want to call this week, and then show up for those calling sessions or note writing sessions or whatever it might be, because there's a change and you're interested in it. There's actually a genuine interest in learning more about what's going on in that person's world, which I think is the best way to approach this, is start by, hey, let's just be interested in our people.
Well, so I think we should briefly mention some of these life changes, because there's a handful of people out here, Matt, that have not gone through an installation, have not read the Ninja Selling book, and are sitting here going like, yeah, I've got a warm list. Yeah, I got people on it. I got people that have told me they want to move in 6 months, which is not who we want to have on the warm list. They get to go on the hot list.
Yeah, 6 months, like that's here.
Right now, even a year, people say they're a year out. Just got to look at, well, why wait? Why are they waiting a year? What are they confused about? So warm list is just life changes. So Matt, I'll throw a couple out, and if I miss any, maybe you can throw some out. But marriage, divorce, job promotion, job demotion, kids being born, kids going off to college, living in a house for 7 years or more, dream to live anywhere, commute of an hour or more each way. I'm not even at 16. I'm at 9 right now.
Did you have a dream of living somewhere in particular?
Inheritance. Yeah. We got a handful of them here. So with that being said, these are the things you're listening for. These are the things that when they come up, you got to put them on your warm list. These are the people that go on your warm list. And so, Matt, I had kind of an eye-opener about this recently, and I don't know if I ever shared this with you. Maybe we even shared this on the podcast at some point, but I'm going to say it again. I've been kind of joking with people that it's like, I should be on somebody's warm list right now. I've got kids going off to college here coming up. I should be on somebody's warm list.
You and I had a conversation about this.
Here's the funny thing is, I then said, but I kind of break the rule. I'm not buying, and I'm not selling my local residence here. We're not moving because we're going to stay here because my son is, going to be here for the next 4 years. All of a sudden, within about a couple of weeks of us going to check out schools and things like that, Sarah says, I want to buy an investment property or property next to each one of the campuses. And I'm like, yeah, we should totally do that. That's a great idea, because the kids can rent it out. We can put their friends in it, all those types of stuff. And all of a sudden I'm like, and I just turned into real estate. Here we go. I just totally went right down the statistics. I got kids going off to college, and here I am talking about buying real estate now. Which it's funny is that I keep trying to tell people, if you want to help me, there's a referral fee attached to it. Like, there's opportunity here for anybody who's out there.
Those are the things that people are like, well, they're not going to buy or sell. One, how do you know? Because things can change. Life changes promote a whole lot of thinking. And the second is, yeah, it could be a referral opportunity. It could be an opportunity for a great conversation. And it could just be that, well, Garrett, you're not going to do anything, but your buddy whose son or daughter is in the same class year as your daughter's, that's their last child. And now they want to move. Now you have the opportunity to make a lot of referrals, which people who are moving after this school year ends. So that's just proof in the pudding right there.
It's funny. Every time I've ever tested myself on this, like going through the life change and going like, all right, I'm in the middle of that. Let's see how this shows up. Like, let's see if real estate really comes up around this. It has never let me down. When my son turned 13, or my daughters turned 13, not my son, my daughters, When they turned 13, I was like, all right, teenage children, that's on the warm list. Let's see how this works out. I'm like, I'm not planning on moving anywhere. I'm not the one who's going to be doing a real estate transaction. And it was in a matter of about 6 months, 3 of their friends picked up and moved, because that transition between 8th grade and high school, 9th grade, they all said the same thing. It was the perfect transition time for my family.
Yeah.
My kids were going to shift to go to a different high school anyway. So instead of shifting them to the high school here in town, we shifted them to a high school across the country. They did.
Those are the things that happen.
Massive state moves. So I look at that and go like, it's never let me down every single time. So Matt, to your point, when you put people on that warm list, what I find is a lot of people try to overanalyze them, just like I overanalyze myself, going like, but dude, you're not the move. Like, you're not going to move. You're staying here. And I think we do that with our clients also. We look at them and go, yeah, John and Sally, they're not moving. So I'm not going to put them on the list. I'm just going to leave them off. And it's like, it's not about John and Sally. It has nothing to do with John and Sally. They're just having the life change. That is the fundamental piece we need to be looking at.
Now, what I find interesting with this, Garrett, is that people might say, okay, fine, I'm going to look for life changes and I'm going to put them on this list. But then that's it. There's action that's required here. Being in flow with these people is very important. Learning more about that life change, assessing the pain or pleasure level associated with that life change is also important. And I think as a real estate advisor, there's also opportunities for you to have discussions around real estate, not promoted by you. It's not like you're going to call somebody up and say, Garrett, kids are going off to college. You ready to buy a property? Although I did do that to you because, well, we're friends. So if you're good friends with people, I think you can.
You can get away with a lot with friends. I think that's funny, is and that goes back into your relationships that you have with people. If you hit a stranger out of the blue, they're like, oh, creepy. You're talking with a good friend. The reality is you are curious about their world. You have the freedom to ask those types of questions. Me asking my friend whose daughter's going to Idaho State University in Boise. There you go. With her going there, like, it's a total free question for me. It's a great question for me to ask. Are you guys going to buy a house there as Peyton, continues to go through school? I can be blunt about that. It's me being genuinely curious.
Yeah. These questions are not hands off. I don't know why we shy away from them so much, because you see people who are not realtors are not afraid to ask certain questions about buying and selling. Now, I wouldn't go up to somebody and say, oh, your kids are going to college. Are you going to sell your house? I wouldn't do that. But backing it up just a step or two is, once you discover a life change, which you can discover that through your conversations, you can discover that on Facebook. Quite frankly, we've talked about that many times. Be in flow with these people and be interested in that change. Ask them if it's a tough change, just ask them how they're doing. Call them up and say, hey, how's it going, Garrett? Is everything all right in your world? Is there anything that I can do for you? Focus on the personal relationship first. And then as the conversation gets going, they'll probably bring up real estate at some point and you'll have a chance to talk about that kind of stuff. Even if you don't, you keep coming back and monitoring that change, and you have to have a frequency here too, Garrett. So this is what I see people. They're like, yeah, I called and checked in on this. And then I'm like, all right, when's the last time you talked to those people on your warm list? They're like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. Ooh, we need to talk to these people more often than that, a lot more often.
Well, and my question that I always ask too is, why did you pick up the phone and make the phone call? Genuinely, like at a core, why did you pick up the phone and make the phone call? And a lot of them is because I sell real estate and I want to help them when they need help with real estate, instead of I really, truly, genuinely care about this event that's going on in their life right now. And the interesting thing is that if you truly care about the event that's going on in their life, and you're truly, and again, these life changes stir up a lot of stuff for people. So for you to check in and see how they're doing or celebrate what's going on or whatnot, they do want to talk about it. It's a big event going on in their life, causing lots of pain or lots of pleasure. The more they understand that you truly, truly care about them, genuinely in your heart, that's where the referrals come from. It's not about them bringing up real estate. It's not about you bringing up real estate. It's about this big batch of people that are just beyond them that need help also. And when you're fully invested in that relationship, all of a sudden they're like, hey, I got to introduce you to so-and-so. That's the business.
And that's what I see happen more often than not when people are paying really good attention to the people on their warm list. Now, I will say, if you see a life change in somebody that you know you're not going to be in high flow frequency with because you just don't want to be, you're like, I don't really like that person, or I don't even know that person, then don't even bother to put them on your warm list. That's my opinion, because don't let them take up space in your mind if you are not going to be in a higher flow frequency with them. But there are plenty of people who you can be in a higher flow frequency with that will load up your warm list. And Garrett, what's Larry's rule of thumb? Was it like 15% of your database could be on your warm list at any given time?
I think it's 15 to 20%, I think is the number. It can be really high. I mean, you think about it. If you step back right now and say, okay, I want you to make a list of all the people in your database that have kids under the age of 10 years old. That list gets big fast. In my world right now, make a list of all the people that have kids that are going off to college. In my world right now, like that's a big group of people. I know a lot of people that are in that boat right now. It can get fairly big fairly quickly, which and then people go like, oh, my warm list is too big. I need to pare it down.
No, you don't.
These are the people that you just need to be in top flow with. You need to be communicating with them the best. Keep them top of mind in your world. Don't let them get too far away from you. Like that's the number one thing that you just need to kind of be keeping in check is this group. I just can't let them get too far away.
Well, particularly if it's something like a situational thing where you have kids that are graduating high school. So you know a lot of people who have kids that are graduating high school. Go to the things, go to the soccer games, go to the volleyball matches, go to the parent board meetings, go to whatever it is that puts you right in flow with people. You know, there's probably an opportunity at least once a month for you to go to some event where you can be in flow with a dozen or so other parents. And so that's going to, one, help you interact with you. Like, well, great, just got 12 knocked out right there in one evening. Fantastic. And then the rest of them, you know, maybe you have some side text messages that lead into some good phone calls, or maybe there's an opportunity to say, hey, you know, we should grab coffee sometime. You know, it'd be cool to kind of catch up and learn more about X, Y, and Z, or what your kids are doing, where they're going to college, how excited they are about it, and just kind of compare some stories about college searches in this time as well. There's so much opportunity in there that doesn't take a whole lot of time. I'm using air quotes right now, but it does require your effort.
I saw him, Matt.
I know you saw him. Yeah. It does require your effort, though, in making that list, for one, and then planning, this is how I'm going to reach out to these people. This is how I'm going to engage. But if you have those life changes, as you said at the beginning of this, Garrett, there's a lot of them going on right now.
To Matt, you brought up a good point, though, I want to circle back to, which is the people that you put on your list. If there's somebody in there whose energy does not resonate with you, just be careful about who you put on the list. I have watched this happen numerous times where somebody will make their sphere of influence, which in Ninja, your sphere of influence, you really should be in communication with them about every 30 days. You don't want to really get them any farther away from you than that. And what's interesting is that I'll watch people make their sphere of influence because they've got all these people and they want to make a great sphere of influence. And they'll have a couple people on there that they don't resonate with, but they're like, I know them really well. I could call them, but in their core, they're like, I don't want to call them. What will happen is they'll stay away from the entire activity of making all the phone calls just to avoid potentially having to talk to these 3 people or 2 people on this list of 20. Your warm list is the same way. We should be making phone calls into that group. We should be connecting into that group. We got all kinds of people there we could have great conversations with. And for some reason, there's 2 or 3 people on there that really are having a life change. They've got stuff going on, but they don't bring the best out of you when you see their name. Or you're like, I don't want to talk to them. Get them off there because, again, you will actually not make all the other phone calls. You'll avoid the entire activity altogether just because of these little rotten apples you got in the bunch. They might be nice people. I'd hate to call them rotten apples, but they may just not resonate with you. And it's okay. I think you need to be okay. This is at the end of the day, this is, again, relationships. It's what we're focusing on here. We're looking for people that we can help. We can make their life better. We can connect with them. And so the more people we can put in that list will allow you to let some of those people go also.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. So Garrett, I want to share just one quick story as we pull this together. I had a client send me a text and it was a screenshot of somebody's Facebook post, somebody in his world. And it said, wow, if the Airbnb guests at my neighbor's property are going to be like that every time, it's going to be a wild summer. And underneath the picture, he texted me, well, she's going on the warm list. I said, yep, absolutely putting her on the warm list for sure. So life changes can come in all shapes and sizes. So keep an eye out for those things. Those are the changes that drive people onto your warm list, and those people are talking. So look out for them.
Well, and Matt, I know we've talked about this topic before. This is not a new topic, not the first time we've ever gone down this path, but one of the things I love about what we get a chance to do is we get a chance to talk about what we're seeing in real time right now. And there will be topics that we will circle back around on and bring back up and talk about because it's important for what's happening right now. There's a couple things that we've noticed out here, Matt, that we're going to have a couple of podcasts about that we're just seeing people kind of just drop the ball on right now or just not give it the attention that's needed. And that's where this one came up today is we're seeing it as a loophole in people's businesses. We're seeing it as a massive opportunity right now in the world that we're in. And we just want to see all of you just have the best businesses you can, help as many people as you possibly can. And so, Matt, I appreciate you going back down this topic with me today because I am seeing it all over the place right now.
Yeah, well, thanks for pulling this one up. It's a good one for sure. And thank you guys for tuning in all the time and for all the feedback that you've been sending us. We really appreciate it. I love seeing the messages, the reviews that you leave as well. You know, if you feel so compelled there on iTunes or if you're on another platform that allows you to drop a review, type it in because we see that stuff. And so thank you guys so much for sharing that. Thank you for being super active in our Facebook community, facebook.com/groups/the Ninja Selling Podcast. Appreciate everybody who is supporting each other in there. That's the coolest thing I love seeing in there is the individual support that comes from agents all over the country. And y'all don't know each other, but you have Ninja in common, which is really cool. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.